You heard it. Sandwiches! Sandwiches! Come and get your sandwiches! Who wants a sandwich? Everybody likes a sandwich. What kind of sandwich do you want? Sandwiches! Have a think. Sandwich. What's your favorite kind of sandwich? You open the fridge, you think, sandwich, what will I have? What would you like? Cheese sandwich, excellent. Any pickle? No, clean. Cheese sandwich. Orange cheese, yellowy cheese. Any advanced cheese sandwich, pretty good start, pretty good start. Any sandwiches in the middle? It's sandwich top trumps. Sandwiches! Come and get your sandwiches! What sandwich would you like, madam? It's any sandwich. You go to a coffee shop. Nice coffee, but I need a sandwich. What? Egg mayonnaise, get you, la-di-da. Woo! Sandwiches! Come and get your sandwiches! I used to do this for a job. Okay, we've got a little group in the corner there in the middle. What sort of sandwich? Any sandwich you like? Yes? Falafel and hummus. I give up. I've got no falafel in my fridge. I've got none in the kitchen. Well done. Cheese sandwich wins. Give them a round of applause. We'll get you a cheese sandwich in the brick. Sandwiches. Sandwich fillings. Very important. I'll come to that in just a second. Really, really important for me. And it was a discovery that I couldn't believe. But I'll tell you about that in a second. I'm Alfie. Nice to meet you. Nice to be doing a talk in Durham, my home city, of which I'm very, very proud. I've worked on the radio for about 10, 15 years, somewhere in between, and I forget now. I've done comedy for over 20 years. Before that, I trained to be a priest, and I was a monk, but we've all got a backstory. So what about the present? Right now, I'm on an exciting adventure. I've become an artist by accident. Totally by accident. And I'll prove to you how it was an accident. 2 strokes of luck made me an artist. And I've been drawn since I was cheese sandwich age, but never properly. And it just kicked in by accident. And whenever I tell people, I started drawing, I draw pictures, I always get the same response from most people, which is, I can't draw. I can't draw. And you chuckle there, because I think you might be the I can't draw. Put your hands up if you can't draw. You can't draw. You can't draw. You can't draw. You can't draw, madam. Great. I'm going to ask you and you who put your hands up to draw me a picture. I'm going to prove you wrong. So would you please do me a favor? These are not actually sandwiches. They're colored pens. Would you... Who said over there you can't draw? Madam, come and get these. That's yours. I'd like you to draw me a frog. This talk's about 10 minutes long, so you've got 10 minutes to draw a frog. It's like, be quick. It's like a game show, okay? And who over here said that you, sir, you couldn't draw? What's your name? Jeff. Is that your drawing hand? Yes. Oh, how about that? It's like we'd rehearsed it. Herb Kim, who runs the event. That's yours. I'll get you some pens, Herb. So give them a round of applause. They're going to draw for 10 minutes. A frog. We're going to experiment on a frog, but without the blood and the guts and the gore. You should need some music. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. I do this for about 10 minutes now. Do-do-do-do-do. No, carry on drawing, and we'll give you lots of support. Doesn't matter what it turns out like. A nice big frog, however you see it, however you want to do it, away you go. 2 strokes of luck led to me becoming an artist just a couple of years ago. And they both happened at an event like this. I used to host an event, and I loved it because they had great guests, and I got to interview them on the stage, and they always used to excite me, so I thought, I don't want to lose that gig. So I always used to do something new and fresh at the beginning of the gig. And I was running out of ideas. I'd done impressions one year. I did some jokes another year. I did a poem another year, and I thought, I could draw some cartoons. I haven't drawn for a long time, but I can draw a couple of cartoons, put them up on the screen, see what happens. So I drew a few cartoons, not these. And I got an email. I got 2 emails. Email number 1 from a fellow called Chris. Now, Chris said, would you like to draw a cartoon for a magazine? I thought, wow, based on the rubbish I'd put up there, that's a dream. I couldn't believe it. I got so excited. I started to tell somebody asked me to draw a cartoon in a magazine. That, to me, was beyond me. So I said, yes, I'd love to. So he said, well, we'll have a meeting about it. So I turn up for this meeting, and it's a big, imposing building. I'm thinking, for a cartoon. And I go inside, and and I go into a lift, and I go right up to the top. And I'm led into this boardroom, and they sit me down, and then these people file in, and I think, for a cartoon, this is a bit much. And I sit down, and all these people are sat opposite me. Chris, who's asked me, he sat behind them, giving me the old thumbs up. And the fella in front, who I've never met, he says, so, Alfie, thanks for coming. Thanks for agreeing to draw the cover of our Christmas magazine. If I'd been asked to do that, I'd have said, no, I can't. I'm incapable. But because I'm in a boardroom filled with people that I didn't know were going to be there, I went, yes. Thank you. So kind. They said, now, normally, this is the NE1 magazine. It goes around all of Newcastle, 48,000 copies. It's in every hairdresser's, barber's shop. It's the free magazine where people can find out what's on over Christmas. He said it's the Christmas special. Now, normally, we just have a bauble with a shop behind. But we thought if we had a cartoonist, we could incorporate lots of things that we want. We've got a wish list with you. We could have Tommy Hilfiger, we could have sales, we could have the Metro, we could have a theatre, and they asked for all of these different things. I'm writing them all down. Some of these brand names I've never heard of, and I'm panicking inside, thinking, how can I do this? And they said, the trouble is, we need it for next week. I think I'm not free after 2 days, so I went, well, I'll do it in 2 days. The fella who's asked me, and he sat behind them, he's going, no. And I went, but I better leave now. And they all laughed and went, I'm being serious. And I took my list, and I cycled home, and I got to the gates, I'd burst in the house, and my wife's going, what's wrong? I went, I've got to draw a cartoon. I won't see you for 48 hours. And I drew this cartoon and sent it off to be coloured, because I can't do that. I can't do digital stuff. And they accepted it, and it became the front cover of the magazine. If we have a look, next slide, please. I'm like Professor Chris Whitty. There we are. So it became a cover of a magazine, and that was an accident. You don't have to claim it was an accident. Go back to the meeting that I'd done the original sketches for, and there was a man who sent me an email called John. John runs the North East Art Collective. He used to. It was a gallery in Newcastle. He said, come to the gallery, I'd love to chat to you. Saw your pictures. So I thought, wow. And I thought he just wanted to show me round, and I didn't know what he wanted, whether he wanted to get on the radio, because that happens all the time. And so I went to the gallery, and he said, I've got a space on the wall for you. I saw your pictures. I went, I can't. I've got no pictures. He went, well, you better draw some. And I said, well, what? I don't know what to draw. I've got no range. I've got no projects on the go. He said, well, draw about what you know about. And I said, well, I'm from coal mining stock. My dad was a coal miner. Everybody who I knew growing up worked down the pit or had connections with coal mines. So I'll have a go at sketching some coal miners. I love the great Norman Cornish pictures. So I sketched a picture of some coal miners having bait. Their bait is their snack. And so here it is. This is the picture. And I put this on Facebook. It was just about this big. And I put it on Facebook. It's just a little sketch just to see what the reaction was from people I know and people who wouldn't be too cruel. And my cousin sent me a message, our Terry. And her dad was a miner, like me dad, my Uncle Terry. And she said, you know, down the pit, the miners all had in his pit to eat not cheese, not falafel, not egg mayonnaise. This stunned me. They all had jam sandwiches. And I said, jam? He said, yes. I thought they'd want something big and chewy and meaty because it's a heavy industry job and you're breathing in coal dust and you want something strong. And no, they had jam sandwiches. Because of the coal dust, your mouth's dry and you get emphysema. My grandfather died of emphysema. And that's his grave there, just good. And so I changed the picture. And I called it jam sandwiches, and I drew a little bit of jam, and this is the picture I drew after that one, and that became jam sandwiches, and it became my first pop hit, if you like, and it became my bestseller to date. So that was an accident, complete accident, where one thing led to another. How's that? How are our frogs getting on? We're going to come to you and just... Oh, Herb's finished. Very confident there. How's your frog, madam? You shouldn't ask that generally, should you, without making... Okay, bring them up and just put them on the edge of the stage. We'll do the big reveal. Now, last slide. Here we go. And it connects with what I drew a children's book all about a coal miner who mysteriously appears years after the last pits had closed. And he appears to these children. These are my children, by the way. And he appears to these children. They take them home, and it's all a mysterious adventure. And I'll tell you a secret. I've got a copy of it here. The cover is much better than the inside, because I drew the inside, finished it about 2 years ago, and I drew the cover a couple of months ago, because someone said, you should try and sell that. So the lesson there is that you can always improve. You can always tweak what you do. You can always get better. And this is where the frog experiment comes. How about that? Come on. You said you couldn't draw. That's a frog. That's a frog. That's great. When is the last time you drew a picture? There you are. Imagine if you just carried on to that. Is a great frog. That's a great frog. This is Herb's frog. He's gone for the green. I love it. Oh, look at that. Hey, that's a great frog. Now, I tell you this story because all my life, you know, you've got a go-to doodle whenever you're in a boring meeting or class, and you always draw the same thing. And I drew, for about 40 years, the same frog in the margin, and it's rubbish. This is the frog I always drew. It's just a frog, but I drew it very flat, but it never improved, it never changed, it always looked just the same. And then I was thinking about it as I was progressing, and I was getting better, and I was tweaking things, and so I thought, why not give it a hat next time I draw it? Why not give it a straw or a cigar in its mouth and put a red jumper on it? And so I quickly challenged myself to do a better frog. I challenge you as well, not now, but the next time you draw a frog, do it a little bit better, and you will see the magic happen. So there's my frog experiment. All try the frog experiment when you get home. If there is a lesson in this, if you're young and you like drawing and it takes you off into a magical place, don't stop drawing. Carry on. It's great. If you're older and you've never picked up a pen, but you think, I'd like to, but I'm too old, don't. Pick up that pen and draw. Join me on that adventure. It's brilliant. Thank you very much. Take care.
First off, thank you for not brutalizing my frog. It would have been very easy to do so.
Dissect it later. That was great.
So you mentioned very briefly that you were a monk,
yes,
right? And then suddenly you jumped to being a star of radio and media, yeah, and cartooning and other things. What actually was the thing that got you to leave the Brotherhood, you know, and pursue this somewhat different career, I would argue, yeah?
Well, there's a very quick story, and this did change my life. I'd been trained to be a priest and then left to join a monastery and became a member of the Salesians of Don Bosco, a religious order. And I was a school chaplain in Liverpool. I'd always loved comedy. I never thought I could be a comedian. It was more plausible to be a priest than to be a comedian from the pit village where I was from. So I never thought that possible. And a friend of mine who I was best man for, his uncle was Eddie Braben. Now, Eddie Braben wrote Morecambe and Wise, who were the great double act, and he used to talk about Uncle Eddie. I said, your Uncle Eddie is the man who wrote every sketch my comedy heroes used to act in. And anyway, when he got married and I was best man, he said, would you do a speech? And he said, Uncle Eddie's going to be there, and he doesn't laugh at anything. So I no longer did the best man speech for Stu and Jane. I did the best man speech for Eddie Braben. And I had hats, wigs, impressions. I had a cassette, a backing track. I did best man speech, the musical. and it was one of the best things I've ever done, but I put so much rehearsal into it. And he led a standing ovation and came over to me. He didn't know who I was. And he said, what do you do, mate? Because he's a Scouser. And I said, I'm a monk. And he said, forget that, show business. And I thought, wow. And that's ticked a little bomb in my head. And then I did a comedy course at university when I was still in the order. And everything went bananas then. I knew that was a vocation.
Wow. So this wedding speech kind of, I guess, his reaction to it kind of gave you permission to say, this isn't a joke.
Yes, yeah. He sent me he took photographs of me mid-speech and doing these things, and he sent me them, and it was just, it was. Right. I never thought that kind of validation helped me a lot. So.
Alfie, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the day. Great.